D.C. Metropolitan Police say 2 deputy U.S. Marshals were sitting in their SUVs on guard near Sotomayor's residence when an armed suspect approached one of the vehicles. A law enforcement source told CBS News the suspect, 18-year-old Kentrell Flowers, emerged from a silver van, then tapped his gun on the window of one of the deputy's vehicles. The deputy opened fire from inside the car, striking the suspect's jaw. The teen was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and charged with armed carjacking, along with 2 firearm offenses. The U.S. Marshals Service confirms the 2 officers were part of a unit assigned to the residences of Supreme Court justices. D.C. police are still investigating the incident, but so far there's no indication the suspect targeted Justice Sotomayor or even knew whom he was attempting to carjack.
Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony. And not only irony, but contradiction. You see, when I do these videos about the Second Amendment and these political style videos about gun control and how all of these anti-gun politicians and anti-gun judges in this case, I always say that they're anti-gun, but that's not really accurate. It's not that they're anti-gun. They're just anti-gun with you and I having guns. They're not anti-guns when it comes to them having guns, as you can see, because she has armed security around the clock for her ass. Now, in all fairness, it's probably a sign. I don't know if she has much of a choice, but I'm pretty sure she's not fighting for them to leave. And clearly, our government understands that when you need to protect someone, you need firearms to do it, which is why you have armed guards protecting these types of judges, and you don't have unarmed guards protecting these types of judges. But nonetheless, I don't have a problem with people having armed security. If you have the money and you have the means and you have the privilege, by all means. My problem is when you start limiting other people's ability to protect themselves simply out of some type of superiority. I get it. You're a Supreme Court judge. You need protection. Great. Do that. But guess what? I'm a normal citizen. There are other people who are normal citizens, but we still get attacked the exact same way your armed security guards just got attacked. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were armed security and they were armed and they got attacked the way that they did, guess what? They would have been victims just like thousands and thousands of other people are on an everyday basis when it comes to just living as a normal person. But see, the problem is that Ms. Sotomayor is a bit of a hypocrite. You see, there have been 2 major cases from a Second Amendment standpoint where one of them was the Otis McDonald versus the city of Chicago case. And in that particular case, Otis McDonald was a custodian, and he worked and he lived in Chicago, and his area was getting pretty bad with violence. So what did Otis McDonald do? Otis McDonald said, you know what, I want to get a gun for protection. But guess what? He couldn't do it. Want to know why he couldn't do it? Because in Chicago at the time, you were not allowed to have a firearm for protection. No handgun, no nothing. A lot of people don't know this. So Otis McDonald said, that's not fair. I want a gun for my protection. So what did he do? Otis McDonald took this case all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, you know what? We agree with you, Otis. City of Chicago, the people of Chicago should be allowed to own handguns for their protection. And that's what happened. Except the ruling wasn't unanimous. It wasn't like all the judges on the Supreme Court agreed and said, yes, they should be able to have guns for the protection, because your girl Sotomayor, she didn't agree. She actually dissented, and she voted against Otis McDonald being able to have a firearm for his protection. And she said, nah, I don't think people should be able to do. Well, she didn't exactly say this, but she ruled against the idea that the Second Amendment should be applied to states. She ruled against it from the standpoint that the Second Amendment shouldn't apply to states. But if the Second Amendment doesn't apply to states, that means states can deny people the ability to exercise the Second Amendment, which is anti the Constitution, and you are a Supreme Court justice. Makes no sense. So you see where I'm getting at with this and this whole hypocrisy and contradiction shit? Now, it doesn't stop there, because your girl Sotomayor, man, she just loves voting against people's ability to own firearms. You know that recent case in 2020, the Bruin decision, basically where New York made it impossible for anybody to get a concealed carry permit to protect themselves? Yeah, that particular case. Well, you see, that case went to the Supreme Court too, and the judges decided, you know what? Yeah, New York, what you're doing is bullshit. Not allowing people to get ability to carry concealed in your city or your state or whatever you want to call it. That's not going to fly here. And, New York pushed back and said, no, you can get a concealed carry permit. You just have to meet these special requirements. And the Supreme Court was like, nah. We know what you're doing. It's bullshit. So the Supreme Court said, nope, you need to have an objective means by which people can be able to get a concealed carry permit. And the court ruled in that favor. Now, guess who else decided to rule against that decision? once again, your girl Sotomayor, she ruled against it. What she said was basically, we should allow the state's ability to create their own means and measures to give out concealed carry permits for safety. But in New York, it was impossible to get a concealed carry permit. They just had it on paper that you could technically, but nobody had a concealed carry permit unless you were super, super, super duper special, which meant nobody, only special people like you, Sotomayor. These people are not anti-gun. They're not. I've been saying that for years, and you know what? I apologize, I'm mistaken. They're not anti-gun. What they are is they are anti-gun for you and I. That's who they're anti-gun for. But when it comes to their safety and keeping themselves safe and their families safe, they're not anti-gun. They're like, bring all the guns. They're like Oprah with the guns, except for all the special elitist people, but not for the little people, only the elitist people. And that's the type of world that we live in today. So all of the people running around here who decide to vote for gun control and say, oh, they're gonna pass these gun control laws to make it safe for us. Stop and ask yourself, you really honestly think these people, these politicians, these judges, these anti-gun group leaders who are worth millions, you really honestly think they're not gonna have guns around them? You really honestly think they're gonna subject themselves to magazine capacity bans? You really think they're gonna subject themselves to assault weapon bans? Come on, stop fooling yourselves, people. That's not how this works. The way it works is rules for thee, no rules for me, if I'm special. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad everybody made it out of the situation safe, but guess what? How does it feel? How does it feel to now understand what everybody else has to deal with on a daily basis when it comes to being attacked by criminals? As you can see, the current gun control laws aren't working to save your ass now. And the only thing that stopped those bad guys with the gun were good guys with guns inside the car. So yeah, remember that the next time they try to sell you on gun control for safety. Oh, and don't forget, right now, shop at Mr. Colion, you have these AKT1 blackouts, my favorite in-ear wireless Bluetooth hearing protection. As you can see, I'm wearing it here. I'm outside at this beautiful range here in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm out here for an event, which I'll do a video on later, and you'll see that. But just want to let you know, head over to shop.mrcolionnoir.com and get your in-ear wireless Bluetooth. These are my absolute favorite because they allow me to listen to music while I'm shooting. They allow me to take phone calls while I'm shooting, while still protecting my hearing, while still letting me hear everything that's going on around. And they have 6-time amplification and active noise blocking. So head over to shop.mrcolionnoir.com and get your AKT1 blackouts.
One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.